Oh, rock and roll.
You're up to
every
bat.
time I'm talking.
You're up to bat there, sir.
So what we're
Show
going
us
to
your
do here
exercise.
right now, gentlemen, is we're going to demonstrate a side lunge, a lateral lunge, if you will.
You don't see this very often because A, it's tough to do, and B, everything we do in the gym is forward and back.
I know.
When
God
the
forbid
lateral,
we get outside of the sagittal plane, right?
Well, hey, man, if you want to work your abductors, this is a great, especially if you're doing side step lunges, stepping back, you get a lot of abductor activation, better than the freaking yes-no machine.
Yeah,
in the gym.
the good girl, bad girl.
I want to point out
combo.
though, before he goes into this thing, I'm a form guy on this big time because it's so easy to form.
Completely.
Yeah, it's
Completely.
This is one
A lot of people have problems with this.
and I know you grab weight to show with weight. You're gonna do one with before you do it.
Before I'll do that, we'll kind of just show the mechanics of the body and the body weight version of it first to start. So the way that I do it, I'm going to make sure that when I'm stepping out, I'm trying to make sure that my heel and my toe, so basically I'm not pointing out with this. So that's going to...
So everything's pointing straight.
Yeah, it's going to take me into a different plane that way. So what I want to do is trying to keep in this lateral frontal plane. So as I go to step out, I want to make sure I'm stepping with my leg into, it's far enough to where I'm going to get a good stretch out of this leg on this side. So I want to be able to feel a nice pull going up through the inside of my thigh. And then what I want to do now is hinge my hips. So this is the important part where a lot of people get it wrong. So a lot of times you'll get too much forward momentum and I'm going to be bending my knees, whereas I need to pull my weight back with my hips and I need to sit back into this position. So I get pull and stretch and I'm sitting down like a squat on my left leg. And then I'm going to drive it back up into position.
And that step back is where you get a lot of
So the most common mistake
Absolutely.
I see is people stepping and then them doing this, right, with their knee coming out this way. So the momentum will roll this way, and then they're just kind of doing this over. So it's this.
Keyword is control, right? So
Adam's demonstrating it wrong, by the way.
That's. I just wanted to point because this is a tough one because, like you said, we rarely ever move in the frontal plane as it is.
Yeah.
Then you're also incorporating. You want a hip hingement movement because most people have a hard time hinging at the hips as it is. Now you throw in the frontal plane and the hinging at the hips. Definitely something that most people are going to have to work on before they can.
Now, what do you think about regressing from there and just having people just start here and do it instead of stepping back each time?
Exactly. If you could start just in a nice wide stance, as wide as your flexibility allows, and just work on what they mentioned with the hip hinge and pulling back and then straightening the other leg. So I want to get extension here in this leg, and I want to get flexion and then pull back the hips, and I want to look straight ahead too. Okay, so I don't want to look down. I want to keep
your chest
posture up high and tight.
Good.
And then I can come up. I can do the other side that way, and just work on that element of the exercise.
Okay, now how do you do this? You got the kettlebell there for a reason, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would start there. Then I would move to moving in the front plane. Then this would be the third step right here where
I could take the kettlebell and I could just place it towards the inside of my ankle. And I have one more advanced move after this, but this is the next sort of progression like they had mentioned after the body weight version. So I'm going to step out and I'm going to reach to this side.
Oh, nice. And I see you using a little stabilization here with the arm.
Exactly. Okay. That just helps to keep me in good upright posture there with the chest and the eyes forward. And then I'm going to drive. Now here's the hard part, driving it back to position without letting the momentum carry me away.
Got it. And then you said there was another version.
So the other version now, I get a little more complex. You don't see a lot of people doing this, but I like to take this now and then get a nice momentum flip into a rack position. So I'll reach it across.
Nothing
just
like a nice
I did.
rack when you do these, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we love good racks.
Right.
So this is another way to show how we can increase the intensity
while you move. Oh, wow, okay.
Right.
So it's a nice fluid kind of exchange there. So it feels pretty natural as you go to now reach from the rack position down. And then I'm going to press and use that pressing momentum to pull it back in and stay tight.
Now, I would say before even attempting this, learn how to rack a kettlebell.
Right.
Because racking a kettlebell by itself, that is a technique that you need to learn. It's quite complex if you've never done it before.
Absolutely.
You don't just swing it into position, right?
But I mean, there's room to be creative and come up with moves like that that'll challenge you a bit further.
I've seen people also hold the kettlebell up here doing this exercise, like different ways.
This is also why we created this channel too, right? Originally when we wrote all the programs, we wrote all the ideal movements that you should be starting with, and then this is an extension to all of that. So you know, a lot of times when we show these videos, I think it's important that people note that, you know, ideally you should still be going through you should make your way through all the MAPS programs, through all your foundational movements first, progress, then you move, and this is where we start to get creative. This is how you start to throw creative type movements.
It'd be a great mod to throw in there. For
yeah,
sure.
absolutely, especially in the green, right? This is super challenging.
Excellent.
Love it.
I love it. Put your hand in. Mind pump.